So I'm Spud.
I'm Christian.
Follow. So anyway, this is the CoSpace project, and one of the main goals is what would happen if we take really innovative, creative, ambitious people, put them in a house together, and just let them live together for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple at its core. The whole idea for us was we were looking in our past and realized that the most meaningful moments and conversations we've ever had never happen in a classroom. They never happen in a boardroom or any official setting. It's always like you're hanging on a porch with someone, or you're at a bonfire and you have this like conversation that like strikes a chord and your whole life purpose completely changes.
Some other country with people completely unlike you, and you have to adapt or evolve to fit in, and surrounded by people unlike-minded.
So we basically bought a house to do that.
Experiment with that very idea.
Yeah, and so out of that, obviously, there's the more official and pretty versions of what it is, and you know, it's a home for change makers, and we provide training and mentorship and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's awesome people trying to do awesome things to make the world a better place, living together, which is cool. So this is the first home. So we're working on launching hundreds of these around the world. The goal is to have in 50 years one in every country. So we've got our work cut out.
Scary idea, but believe it or not, we got a couple dozen interested locations already, and all at different points in the queue. So some have locations, some just have interested people, and we're trying to figure out what are all the components you actually need to pull together to pull this off. And there was a lot, and that's what we underestimated, how many different facets you need to pull something like this off. So from financing to just our time, anything from realtors, lawyers, bankers, parents and family. Everyone has their own opinion, things to do or not to do, and things they've got burned in the past and things we've got burned on. So it's ever evolving process. We're trying to refine how can we hand this off to people that this could be replicated in more areas and talk to each other.
Yeah. So this is flagship number one of many. So we'll see where it goes.
So can you tell us about the creative process that made this idea? Like, how'd you get here from where you started?
Well, so I think any creative process always starts by listening to what the need is around you. And so we were sitting down in our office down in downtown State College, and it was a community member walked into the door, and I think they were a local pastor, and they came to us and they said, there's all these abandoned fraternity properties popping up on the market in State College, and they're just sitting empty, and it seems like there's such a better purpose that we could find to use them. So they
kind of just like, what are you going to do about it? It's like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it.
Yeah. So they just like gave that to us, and then they walked away. So we were sitting there, so we were open, and we wanted to listen to what they had to say, and so that seed was planted in our mind, and from that we started talking to students and saying, all right, what would you do if you had a house that you could do anything with? Tell us about it. And so they started saying, we would put, we'd create these crazy rooms with coffee from all around the world, all around it, and just like wacky ideas of what people would do with a house. And it seemed like so far out there, but when we started finding what the common core uniting everybody together was, it was, we just want to have a really creative house where we have the freedom to do these things. So often you rent from a landlord, and it's a house that you have no ownership or connection to.
Where you spend the majority of your time, yet you have no idea how it works, who's near you, what you can do with it, and you're just removed from that system altogether. Yet 80% of our time is sleeping, eating, brushing our teeth, restroom, all these different things that just missed opportunities for connections. And
so this is CoSpace before it gets crazy.
Yeah. So it's pretty much as is, minus us moving on furniture in the corner. So this is common area.
Yeah. So the home was previously used by the International Friendship House. So there were a bunch of international students that lived here, and so it was really transient. So people were here for sometimes 2-3 years, but sometimes a
6 months,
month,
3 months, yeah.
So there's stuff all over the place. We're finding all kinds of things.
Finding a lot of interesting things. We got old nice paintings here. Isn't this nice? Games, different paraphernalia.
So basically everything we're going to be gutting. So the floors are getting ripped out. all the walls are going to be different. In here, the vision is when you walk into the common area, maybe up here, we're not quite sure where we're going to put it, but imagine this being a huge video screen, and so you've got a live video feed to Cape Town and Shanghai and all these things. You can walk in and immediately be in contact with other innovators and entrepreneurs around the world. So
yeah,
that'll be going in this area.
It's supposed to be a new, fun, innovative space, so we wanted to do that. So basically it's like study abroad, but in your own backyard, that you don't have to go to these other places, that our opportunities are right here. And how do we enhance and put that on steroids, essentially? So reaching out to all of our connections, our networks, and just pulling in any resource we have into this one location and seeing what happens.
So the process for that was super collaborative. So we put a call out to probably 50, 100 students at least, and they were all part of designing what the program would look like, what the physical structure would look like, all these different pieces. And then Christian and I kind of found ourselves at the head of that wave of creative, destructive energy. And we were just trying to make sure that a business model solidified around it, that, you know, all the logistics of how do you renovate a house, like how much is it going to cost, like what nails are you going to need, like all those kind of details. And so it's easy in a creative process to have all the brainstorming energy, but you always have to have that core who their job is to basically like hold the whole thing together. They're kind of the glue. So that's sort of where we've, I think, found ourselves.
It's very hard to stay very transparent yet accomplish things. So we try to give everyone a voice and say, like, what would you do in this situation? What are your experiences? And I think just flooring alone, we've talked to 10 people and everyone said something different. It's like, it doesn't get us anywhere. So at the end of the day, how do you make these decisions, keep pushing forward, but give people ownership that they're interested enough to want to go on that journey with you?
So yeah, so we actually went through maybe 10 different properties before we got to this one. We were looking at fraternities that we wanted to go into, apartment complexes, old like mansions that were on the market for way too much that we would have never been able to afford. I mean, like everything. And we had some huge failures in that process. So for probably 8 months or so, I'd say, we were trying to become our own fraternity, which we found out is just not a good idea. And there's way too much headache and bureaucracy involved. But it was at that time, it was the only way that we would have been able to get into a fraternity property because of zoning and all that kind of thing.
Deal with Greek life, and then the property's 3 or 4 times bigger than this one, and
so by just like trying things over and over, you exhaust an option and you realize, okay, these 50 things didn't work, but there were these 4 or 5 pieces that we learned that we need to carry on to the next property. And eventually, just like the conversations happened to come together, and the right person walked into our office, and we ended up talking to the previous owners and hearing a little bit of what their vision was for what they wanted to happen to the house after it got passed off, and it turned out to be a really good fit, and we were able to make it work. So wait till we get to the basement. So it's like
these in the kitchen. Fortunately, I spent 5 hours cleaning it last night because it was filthy.
So the kitchen's all falling apart. So there are, like, you know, holes in our cabinet. And that one's being held together by duct tape. And there's a giant hole in this wall over here. So, you know, it's not in the greatest shape.
This is the largest area of planning, so we're gonna rip out the floor, the cabinets, the island, replace the ovens, do new, nice kind of like a, I don't know how you describe that flooring. It's called like a lower flooring, really heavy duty, immortal flooring essentially. Like, well, a week ago you were gonna do this, and now you're saying you're doing this, and all of them seem like such big picture things, but after the first 9, number 10 hits, and it's like, wow, you actually did it. What's gonna happen next? It's enough to keep people interested and intrigued, but still a little like pessimistic, but it's worth it.
So in this town, I mean, you have to, this town's not used to young, creative, wacky people coming in and testing something that's never been done before. So to do that, I mean, you have to just push as many options as possible, and eventually you find yourself sitting in a house that you were able to buy and all that kind of thing. So it took years, and I mean, looking at the CoSpace process, it was a year and a half to get to this point. So we started December of 2011, but New Leaf itself has been up and running since
almost 3 years.
August 2010, and the idea has been being worked on since like 2005. You know, so this is years and years in the making. And so oftentimes when people have these really creative ideas that they just want to plow forward, they forget how much time, especially in a local context, they have to put in to make sure it comes
that's
together.
something we, or at least our generation or us, did slightly differently. Is our foundation is the network of people we associate ourselves with. So we all came from such different. We all grew up together, for some background information, but we all, whether it's in the fashion world, sustainability world, business world, construction world, we had all these networks and resources that we were able to, that once things got moving along, we could say we have these resources, how can we pull them together? We already have that foundation that a lot of companies and just people are missing, that they have these great ideas or potentials, yet they get started, then they have nowhere to go, no one to listen to them, and then they're just high and dry, not sure where to go. So this is a home for that kind of person. I mean, anyone really, but that's the greatest need.
Yeah.